Hey, welcome back. We got loads in store for you in this video. So we're going to give a basic No, I'm going to leave that in. I'm going to give a basic explanation of scope. I'm going to use variables in the appropriate scope. We're going to use instance variables for global access through the entire class. We're going to use MonoDevelop's auto-completion to help you code faster, and you're going to know the difference between declaring and initializing variables. So let's dive in. Here's our number wizard game. So far, it's not doing much. It's just responding to keys, but it's a triumph in its own right at this point. What we needed to do next is start changing its guess. So let's just look at how it works at the moment. It goes pick a number, or think of a number between 1 and 1,000, and then it asks whether it's higher or lower than 500. Gives us some instructions, but then it just tells us that we've pressed keys. We kind of knew that. So what it needs to start doing is changing its guess. So that's what we're going to do now. Right, let's go into the up arrow part of the if statement in the update function. So when they push the up arrow, we'll continue to log for the moment, up arrow pressed. But we need to think about how this min thing would change, this min variable. How would it change if they push the up arrow? Well, if the guess is higher than 500, i.e. if their number they're thinking of is higher than 500, as indicated by them pressing the up arrow, then we move our minimum up to that level because we know it's an absolute minimum of 500. It's actually over 500. So we do the following. We just try going min, oops, watch out for auto-completion gremlins, min. Now don't let it auto-complete. Sometimes it's awkward to stop mono auto-completing. There you go. You can use Control-Z. Min equals guess, semicolon. Now, you are getting two pieces of red text. If you hover over, it'll tell you why. The name min does not exist in the current context. It'll say the same thing for guess. Why don't they exist? They're just up here above in the page. Why can't it see min? And why can't it see guess? Well, firstly, it can't see min because min is declared inside the start function. So it cannot be accessed outside of this function. It is local to the start function. The scope is constrained to the start function. All right, so the way that we're going to sort that out for a start is we're going to move this declaration and initialization. So the declaration is where we say int min, semicolon, if we said that, and it turns into an initialization when we say an equals 1 on the end, when we actually give it a value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the int min, and actually while we're at it, you know that we're going to have to move the int max, so let's move them both to the top of the class here. Right there, at the same indentation level as the function definitions. Now min is happy. So only make things higher scope, wider scope, if you need to and if it makes sense. Okay? Otherwise, the fact that it's limited scope can be very helpful to you. All right, so that's the first change. Now, the next thing we need to do is get guess to be available and to exist. So I want you to define a instance variable. Now, by an instance variable, I mean a variable that is available to the entire instance, like this max and min. I want you to declare an instance variable of name guess and of type int, and I want you to declare it right at the top there on line 8 on my screen. So go ahead and do that now as a mini challenge. Okay, welcome back. Not too difficult. Int guess, and I'm going to, if I was to just put a semicolon, that would be a declaration, and it would actually fix our error down here on line 25 because guess is now available, but I'm going to go further than that. I'm going to initialize it to a value of 500. Okay, that's cool. Now, second mini challenge for you. What I want you to do is instead of on this where this print line has 500, what I would call hard coded in, I want it to use the new variable that we've just defined. So I want you to change what's on my screen, line 17, so that instead of having 500 in the string, I want it to use that new variable. Just pause the video and go ahead and do that little challenge right now. Cool. Okay, welcome back. So what I've done is deleted 500, put a space in, and then just said plus guess. So that's just fine. Okay, I'm just going to recap with the things we've covered and what we haven't in this video because there's a lot to cover in this one. Okie dokie, fantastic. All right, so what we need to do now then is we need to think about how we adjust our guess. So we've made the minimum equal to the guess when we press the up key. At some point we're going to have to adjust what the guess is to. So have a look at the code and think about where we would adjust what the guess is and come back to me when you've had a think about it. Okay, so the place we need to update our guess is immediately after we've taken the value of it and put it into min. So let's take the starting case. They think of 500, the computer thinks of 500, says is it higher or lower? The guy comes in and says, or girl, says it's higher than 500. So you say, okay, well, I'm going to set the minimum range I'm going to search in now to 500, the guess, and then I'm going to make the guess equal to the maximum plus the minimum divided by 2. Why? Because that's how the binary chop works. What it's saying is, well, imagine the numbers. The minimum would now be, what, 500? The maximum would be 1,000. So the guess would end up being 750, which is exactly halfway between the max and the min. That's what this line does. It sets the guess to be halfway between the max and the min, quite literally. Okay? So that's great news. And then what it needs to do at this point is also make another guess. So let's go ahead and do that. Print higher or lower than. Now, what's it going to say higher or lower than? What's the variable name? You guessed it. Guess, great. Okay, fantastic. And the final thing I'm going to do here is I don't want this up arrow pressed line, so I'm going to comment it. What the hell's commenting? Well, you do a double forward slash. On the second forward slash, the whole line goes grey. And that means the computer will ignore it, but you can still see it. You can comment it, or if you wish, you can completely delete it. I'm going to comment it for now. Let's just see how this behaves on the up arrow. Let's dive over into Unity and play it. So if I push the up arrow, it says higher or lower than 750. Well, I go higher. 875, 937. Brilliant. If I go lower, it's only saying down arrow pressed for now because we haven't coded it. I say we haven't coded it. It's actually, guess who's going to be coding it? Yeah, you. Okay, so pretty simple. You just need to do exactly the same type of logic for when they push the down arrow. So try and make that work for yourself. You can completely remove this down arrow press line if you like, and go ahead and go for it now. Alright, so the way I'm doing it is I'm getting rid of the line I've commented out, don't need it anymore. I'm taking this code, slightly painfully, I'm pasting exactly the same code in 2 places, but I don't mind doing that once. Start doing it lots of times with the same thing. I start to get a little bit scary. The only thing that's different is it's the maximum that becomes the guess. If you say lower, if you say no, it's actually lower than my guess, computer guess is 500, you're thinking lower, you push lower, then you set the max to the guess because you want to stop exploring anything above 500. Otherwise, exactly the same. Yeah, so let's just try it and see if it works. All right, so here we go. I'm going to think of 1, 2, 3. So higher or lower than 500, lower, 250, lower, 125, lower, 63 higher, so 94 higher, 109 higher, 117 higher, 121 higher, 123. Oh, good. Now I can keep pushing, and it'll actually eventually converge on 124. So what I should have done is pushed return at that point to say I've won. But it basically works. The functionality is basically there. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is test the edge cases. How about if I thought of a 1? Let's try that. Or 0. No, 1. I'm not allowed to think of 0. It says the lowest number you can pick is 1. So let's think of 0 and keep pushing down, 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 down. We get to 0 and it just stays... Sorry, we get to 1 and it just stays guessing 1. Perfect. So that edge case, as we call it, works. The other extreme is they may have thought of 1,000. Let's see what happens when we try to get to that. Up, 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 up. And we get to 999 and it obstinately refuses to guess higher than 999. Why? The reason it obstinately refuses is because when it does this max plus min all over 2, it rounds down. So it gets to a situation where the max and the min are both 999 probably, then divides that by 2 and ends up back at 999. I think that's what's going on. The solution to it is to just fix the rounding down by adding 1 to your max, only once at the very beginning. All right, so max equals max plus 1. Just do that once in the start, and then you'll find that the rounding problem will have gone away. So we go up, 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 and we get to 1,000, and we don't go above 1,000. Perfectly. Perfectly? That's a new word. Well, it's not a new word, it's just the wrong word, but it's fun, and it'll do. Okay, cool. So it's basically working now. So with some things we need to tidy up, but I'm really pleased with the progress in this lesson. Pat yourself on the back and see you soon.